We have the data loaded in Power BI, and if I look through these buttons on the left, there's the report building canvas, the data. I can preview the data. There's only one table in there to look at, and I can also look at my data model. And again, it's not particularly interesting data model because at the moment there's only the one table in there. But an interesting extension activity would be to add the casualties and or the vehicles which are linked up by this accident index field that's causing us the problems, and we could join those and be able to create much more powerful insight from the data if we made the linkages. But for the moment, we're just demonstrating the technology. So we have a field list on the far right hand side. I can explode or collapse that. There's only one table, so I will explode it. And again, it says select or drag fields onto the report canvas, and I need to pick a visualization. So visualization I'm going to pick is a stacked bar chart. I think reasonably intuitive. You select something from here, and away you go. Build your graph, and below this it asks us to fill these with fields from our data. So the axis, I'm going to suggest we look at the date field, and again, a little bit like Excel does, there's an interpretation. Power BI carries out an interpretation of that date. So I could select, for instance, month. So it's going to put month on the axis. I think it's slightly misleading. The next one is legend, but it's basically asking us how do we want the data grouped. And if I look around, we should have somewhere in here something like accident severity description or severity description, whichever we labelled it, and we can put that on our axis, and you can see the chart building up. It's going to the legend's going to be fatal, serious and slight. So for every given collision that's reported, what was the severity of the most seriously injured casualty? And then the last thing we need to do is to add something to the values. And again, as with the pivot table, just for simplicity, I'm going to drag a text field down, because I know all it can do with text fields is count them. It may be there was a number there and I want to do different calculations, but when I do this, it gives me a plot that we should recognize from the kind of things we were looking at in the pivot table, that in 2020, really with lockdown, we see a massive drop in the number of reported road collisions of any severity. And that's the start of using Power BI.